T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. The podcast where the topics may vary because, hey, we play it by ear. And now your hosts, Eric Fiskus, Brady Liming, and Todd Griffin.
Kind of a milestone day, episode 175.
175
of the Play It By Ear podcast. Welcome to Up Again It But Not In It. And Mark safe from typhoid.
And gentlemen, schmittlemen.
Correct. Quote from a great American.
Yes.
Gentlemen Schmidt. All right. We are on Tuesday, and right now we have 8 people in the room. It started to pick up there a little bit. So Tuesday for the time being. I don't know what happens once basketball season starts. We'll have to talk about that. But I know things always seem to come up. But so hopefully we can stay on Tuesday for a little while anyway. So welcome. Guys, anything to add to this monologue?
I do. One brief thing. So I had a little scare today after school. My daughter Randall, she is joined the archery club, which is amazing because I've never arched in my life, but she wanted to try it. And at recess, I guess she took a nasty spill at an awkward step of a piece of playground equipment. And her knee kind of landed awkwardly, and I guess she let out a blood-curdling whelp, which scared everybody, and just a little ice and everything. But my shout-out goes out to 2 good gentlemen, her friend Mac, who is the grandson of our listeners, Kenny and Karen, and Grayson, who is like the child of my friend Jessica and Nick, and they actually texted, said those 2 boys were very concerned about her. And so they were good gentlemen checking up on their friend. And she really appreciated that. And you guys are fine individuals and good young men. So thank you. She appreciated that. You're raising them right, people.
Now your parents will pass that information along to you because you should not be watching our show because it's probably not appropriate for you. But Good citizens. Good citizen awards of the day.
Mac listens with his grandpa Kenny.
Oh, he does?
I'm sure he does. As his sisters, who are my students too, I'm sure that sprinkles into conversation occasionally.
Oh, I'm sure. All right. How about you, Todd?
I have nothing.
You have nothing.
I'm sating I'm a little horse.
Like a pony?
Like a pony.
Or a gelding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saving my voice for the topic.
Smoke him if you got him.
Is that Sharon Brown or
that raspy
what's her
throat?
name?
Yeah,
Marge-
Sherry Brown. Marge shot. Hey, honey.
They sound
Yeah. Hello, Kenny.
Good.
PG-13, TV-14.
TV-14, yes.
Yes.
Mac is a
so
mature 10. He's cool. He's cool.
10 going on 18.
Yep.
All right. So, if you've not been here before, we will have a topic, which Todd will have. He and his horse. He is gelding.
His equine tones.
We will talk about that topic. Then we may play a game. We'll see what happens.
Because we play it.
By ear.
Here.
By beer. All right. Todd.
Sure, I finally dominate in a game last week, and then we're taking it away from us.
Then we may play a game. Gary's with us. Hello, Gary.
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 Savannah.
Oh yeah, Savannah. I forgot to say hi to Savannah. I assume John is somewhere close by as well.
He's Lumen.
Lumen. All right, Todd.
All right, so this topic is one that Eric sent to us a few weeks back. It is entitled "The Weirdest Etiquette Advice from the Past 100 Years." So, again, we don't preview these. We don't do anything other than look at the title and we say, "Hey, that sounds like fun." And it's our job and your job to make it fun.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone.
I'm holding the phone.
Mom is watching.
No F-bombs.
Yeah, Brady.
All
Continue.
right. So, number one on the list, and I don't think this is like a top. I don't think this is like in any kind of.
Not in a ranked order.
Right. 1880. A lady shouldn't have more than one glass of champagne. In 1880. Now, anything more or less would be improper. It's interesting, the less part. So if they have a half a flute of champagne,
Flute.
a flute of champagne, it is
Already
improper.
already had the flute and champagne.
So I guess it was expected of them to drink socially, but not drink too much,
Not to excess.
not to excess.
So, who was the 1899 something Karen that would say that harlot had a flute and a half,
Harlot.
or that unwashed heathen? Like, who has that kind of time to visually confirm that?
So what about the less? I mean, do you have to imbibe? That's
what-
the
yeah.
rule.
To me, that's the interesting part.
And what is the setting? I mean, do you have to drink champagne like in every setting, or in a party setting, or what?
I'm assuming champagne would be some sort of occasion, not just sitting in your parlor drinking champagne. So we're going to just for the sake of this, we'll just say this is a social gathering of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe with the hoity-toities and the hoy and moities.
Moities.
And the hoilier than veils. and the fair bears.
Fair bairns.
Another thing is it just mentioned champagne. So what if it was wine? What if it was
Well, champagne is
Well,
wine, is it not?
well, but I mean, like it just specifically says champagne. So I just don't know if that's a blanket.
So
was that-
so if you imbibe in a rosé, then you are all of a sudden an outcast.
Yeah.
Or a Madeira wine, or
I mean, could you have a pint? Could you have some mead?
or some grog.
Some muscatel.
A nice ale.
I think only
All right.
Flo drank that on the Alice show.
This is also 1880, and also a female etiquette for a woman. Women should always wear their hair up. A woman is expected to look fresh, polished, and composed for her husband at all times. In Victorian terms, that meant her hair must be worn up, except when in the privacy of her bed chamber.
Hence the term putting my hair down.
Or
There
letting
you go.
my hair
Letting
down.
my hair
Letting
down.
my hair down. Yeah, letting my hair down.
Yeah.
Putting my hair down.
Now, there are still some offshoots of some fundamentalist, you know, Christian offshoots where the women still have to do that. So
Yeah.
they kind of have they're not allowed to cut their hair and it has to be hoisted upon top. So I kind of, wonder if that's a throwback to those times.
Well, the picture of this lady, her hair is up, but she also has a hat on. So I'm also wondering if it was a matter of the hair up provided a nice balancing
A
Pedestal.
form.
hat form. Yeah,
Hat form. Savannah has before we go on. Savannah has a question about the previous etiquette piece. So, what about bourbon? I'm assuming bourbon would be frowned upon, leastwise by a proper lady.
yeah. Back in them days.
Back in
Uh,
the days.
Hello, Jim.
Hello,
Hey,
James.
Jim.
1880. We're sticking the 1880 here. A lady never carries her dress with two hands. Now, that to me just seems like common sense, because if you would happen to fall, you need one hand to catch yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you are hoisting your dress, I assume as to maybe dodge a mud puddle or to step somewhere where maybe the grounding is uneven.
Where you're doing
So-
the can.
So is that just a safety thing?
You do not want to soil your petticoats.
Right. It says when crossing the street, it was expected that a lady would carry her dress in her right hand, lifted outward to the right. This method ensured that only the appropriate amount of ankle was exposed.
Ah, now we're
all
getting
about
into that.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with safety. I thought it made sense for safety purposes. Like you want to have plus improper balance if you have both hands down holding your dress up.
It's about
You
the
need one arm
exposure.
You need one arm out to balance.
Laura, hello, Laura. Hat pins were regulated to certain length because ladies would use them as weapons. Ouch!
Right in the trait.
Yeah.
Right in the jugular.
Yes.
That used to be a problem in vintage wrestling, like in the olden like 40s and 50s. Those elderly ladies that had the hat pins, they would wield them on heels they didn't like coming through the crowd. So that was from a bygone era, but they would have to be like the bad guys would have to dodge some hat pins going back to the locker room if they hurt a baby face.
So I'm just going to keep moving along. This is a decently long list. So 1890, women should only give handmade gifts. The Victorian rules around courting were especially bizarre, but none more than the era's gift etiquette between a couple. A woman could only give a man a gift if he gives her one first, and even then, women should only reciprocate with inexpensive or handmade gifts. So is the idea there is you wouldn't want to show the man up with a more expensive, depending on if which family came for more money.
Or
I think that's possible.
or like ladies of that era didn't always work and they were not independently wealthy. So maybe it was a thing to lessen a financial pressure, which I think honestly is probably sexist and goes back to not showing the dude up.
Yeah, I would say the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a matter of, but there's also, it's probably just as much the other way that, the whole idea is that the man did not have the skills to make I don't know.
A doily.
I would be in trouble if I had to make many gifts.
So do you think baked goods or like confectionaries, did that count? Or was that was food items frowned upon? She made some nice venison jerky or something.
Some nice Parmesan ice cream. Brady, I was reading today in that presidential book. I can't remember which president it was, but his wife was a fan of serving ice cream, and it talked about some of her favorite flavors, and it was like,
Oh, I know.
Parmesan, like none of them were actual. Like I had no idea there were ice
Yeah,
cream.
blue cheese,
Oh,
Parmesan. It was horrible sounding.
Yeah.
Because I was driving down the road when I was listening to it, and I kind of like shuddered a little bit as I drove.
Yeah.
I can imagine your aversion to salsas and such. You probably hated that.
Number 5 on the list, 1890, and this one's not strictly just for women. Never ask a direct question. Victorians found it incredibly rude to ask a direct question. Instead of asking someone, how are you doing? A polite person would reword the question to something along the lines of, I hope you're doing well.
That's not a question. That's a statement.
Well, unless you say, I hope you're doing well. Question mark. You're doing well, I hope. Well, this could also probably be tied to just a more positive, just I don't know. It's kind of leading. Like it's harder. I think it's harder for someone to say, like, if you say, how are you doing? And for them to kind of like, lay a load on you as far as like how bad their day's going. And as opposed to if you say, I hope you're doing well, it's probably harder for them to just like go off on with all their problems.
Well, I know the answer to that question is hope in one hand and you know what in the other, and see which one gets filled first.
Now I'm going to be thinking about that. So, like, if Celia like turned her ankle, I would not be able to say, "Hey, how's Celia's ankle?" or how she. It'd be like, "I hope the missus finds herself in good orthopedic health." Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can kind of understand this one, like, because take that same scenario. Let's say Eric breaks his ankle, and rather than saying, "Hey, Eric, how's the ankle?" saying, "Hey, Eric, I hope your ankle is healing up," or "I hope your ankle is feeling better," or something like that. Again, I don't see it as a question, but I can see it as more of a, I've heard all these before, like, how you're not supposed to say you're welcome. You ever heard that before? Like, there's certain ways you're supposed to answer that when somebody says thank you, and which always confuses me as far as what to say.
Well, like no problem.
No problem, which I say that a lot, but apparently that
or no worries
insinuates that there is a problem or worries, which is weird. If there was a problem or worries, I would say that's a problem, or that those are some worries.
maybe you ought to worry.
You should be sweating.
Yeah, I say my pleasure quite a bit, but I don't know if that's.
That gets into some dicey territory.
All right, number 6. This is the first one that is strictly about children. 1900, children should never contradict. One of the many rules a child was expected to follow in the age of being seen and not heard, which in my life went up through the 1980s and into the early 1990s, is to keep your opinions to yourself. It was considered disagreeable for a child to contradict anyone for any reason.
So
that certainly has gone out the window.
Well, because I think children, I don't want to get dark, but they're taught to, advocate for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, no, I don't want to get into a dark area, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Number 7.
So we got several comments.
Okay.
I need
Sorry.
to put up.
I didn't have my comments up.
Yeah, I know you're on the iPad, so you can see the comments. But Jim says the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. He concurs that it should be baked goods. Dolly Madison was the first lady, or was the first lady. I don't know, was she the first lady? Yeah, I believe that's when the term first came into use with her. Yes. Thank you, historian. Welcome. Gary, I think we've already established that ankles are too sexy to discuss in public. This is true.
That's right.
Jim also says you state it as a question if you really care. Otherwise, a statement, you don't have to hear the answer. True, too. Now, Gary says here, this is what I was thinking. Also, less nosy to avoid direct questions, I suppose. 'Cause if you ask, how's your ankle? Then you're getting into medical information or information that I may not want to disclose to you.
How's that rash on your upper thigh doing?
Yeah. like how's that flesh-eating disease doing?
Still doing the enemas nightly?
So Chris also says, I go out of my way to not say thank you at Chick-fil-A just so I don't get my pleasure in return.
I kind of like that.
Well, I don't think. Okay, so I don't think there's anything wrong with saying my pleasure if it truly is your pleasure. If you know, what I mean, if it's something you truly enjoy doing for someone or something you enjoy, then I think saying my pleasure is fine. I think it can sound a bit condescending if it's, you know what I mean? Like if somebody says like, "Hey man, thanks for picking my pencil up for me." My pleasure. I mean, like that's a little bit overboard.
So do you honestly think that all those teenagers that work at Chick-fil-A, it is their pleasure to serve you very tasty chicken?
No, I didn't mean. It made me think because I mean I think I often say it, but I guess I don't always mean it, but I do mean it sometimes. So I think it's hard to decipher the difference.
Right.
Right. Number.
Gary says to quit saying ankle. Ankle. Quit saying ankle.
We'll have to blur it out from now on.
Should we say cankle?
1900. Calling cards are to be left by women. Calling cards.
I couldn't hear you.
Calling cards are to be left by women. Calling cards were used in the Victoria era to let a friend or family member know you visited them while they weren't home. Of course, these cards came with myriad rules to follow, including that it was primarily the woman's job to leave the cards. Has this ever been a thing in our lifetime? Like where you leave I guess maybe if it's a business, like if somebody stops by your house that was, to deliver something or something along those lines.
So what would this calling card have on it? Stop by to see you in your name, or hey, contact me at this.
Hey, this is not Brady Liming. This is some lady I stopped by to visit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense because it's not like you can just text them and say, "Hey, I stopped by your house earlier," or or even call them. So I guess it does make sense that you would have let them know you were there.
Right.
Or leave interesting door video messages.
Yeah, Brady does that.
$19.10. This is number 8, by the way. Don't be too playful with your newborn. Experts advise parents to not be overly affectionate with their babies, even going as far as recommending parents not play with them until they're 4 to 6 months old so as not to spoil them.
That's awful.
I have no words.
It's no wonder those pictures that you see from that era, everyone just looks miserable.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell this baby's like, where the hell is everybody? I'm a baby. You're supposed to be playing with me.
I had PC in my rubber pants. Can someone please change me?
So I mean,
rubber pants.
Didn't wrap them so tight in blankets that swaddling clothes, swaddling.
Unfit mothers. Sorry, I keep thinking back to the 4 Christmases where you seen that where the Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon. You guys haven't seen that? You owe it a watch. Definitely a Christmas staple where they do the they're at church on Christmas, the Christmas service at church.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loses the swaddle blanket. Number 9, 1910. Refrain from impure thoughts, gentlemen. Especially
that was a very judgy tone.
Especially if pregnant.
Say what?
What?
The purity of thoughts was a big thing during the Victorian era, but even in 1910, parenting experts led mothers to believe that it was their ugly thoughts that led to conditions like colic. And an old wives' tale said that refraining from said thoughts would lead to a beautiful baby. So not only do you not play with your child for the first half year, you don't play with your husband either. Well, that's what it says. Basically.
Gosh, it's amazing how Western civilization made it through that era. Wow.
So why would the baby be affected by that?
Probably by telepathy.
I mean, it seems like if you're going to ignore your baby for 6 months, that's a good time to. It's a good time to have impure thoughts and be impure. It's not like you're raising the kid. It's pretty much by itself in that wicker bassinet over there that baby was in.
Because you're certainly not playing with it.
Right.
So
apparently the husband is.
So let's say the mother just happened to be thinking about Ted Danson.
Oh.
Would that like would that like lead to, disfigurement of the baby?
So I'm thinking that's probably why you saw so many like Dutch twins back then, because
What's that?
you never heard of the term Dutch twin?
Like from the Netherlands?
Well, yeah, I mean the term Dutch is from the Netherlands, yes, but it means
Dutch.
Well, it means the two babies that are born within like 10 to 11 months of each other.
Oh,
Like she has one and then immediately gets pregnant with another one
okay.
because she's been spending that many months having not so impure thoughts that once she's allowed to have impure thoughts again, then things happen.
I like it how like they attach the impure thoughts to the women folk. Like the men had no responsibility in these impurities.
So actually, Jim, that may be the actual term. I'd said Dutch twins, probably Irish twins. I think Dutch has to do with paying bills and things, but let's go Dutch. No, Irish twins. I think that's right. I knew it was something like that. Some country. Chris, I'm not sure why Samantha just ran to the bathroom after Brady mentioned Ted Danson.
Speaking of impure thought.
Yeah, no kidding.
She might be the only person I know that has a Ted Danson infatuation.
So does she like gray, white-haired Ted Danson, or ashen-haired Ted Danson, or dark-haired Ted Danson? Or
Does she
does
like
it?
pre-Whoopi Ted Danson? Or
Post Whoopi. 3 Minute a Baby Ted Danson, or CSI Ted Danson.
CSI Ted Danson.
All right.
There you go. Irish twins, born the same calendar year. Yes.
1915, number 10. Wedding guests must bring admittance cards. It wasn't necessary to RSVP to an invitation, but couples who held ceremonies in the city would send out cards that gained guest admittance to the church on their big day.
So who's
So
the poor
they had to
sap
have
to be the gatekeeper?
I mean, essentially they had a doorman, I assume, and then you had to provide credentials.
Credentials.
I'll tell you exactly what that is. That was putting on airs to make it seem like such an event that everybody was jonesing to get into, and it gave the illusion of like a sold-out concert. So you had to show your card to get in.
Yeah.
I cast a pox on that. That's appalling to me.
All right.
Yes,
So before you go on, according to Chris, this is Samantha peak Ted Danson right here.
Why am I looking forward to seeing this?
There it is.
We better not see Ted Danson.
Ted's Danson.
I think you're
it's it.
seeing Macaulay's Calkins instead.
What? I don't remember Macaulay having that long a hair.
No.
I thought that was Reese Witherspoon as a child at first.
I think that's McKenna Calkin.
Wow.
So there's peak Ted Danson. So we're talking after 3 Men and a Baby, prior to CSI.
Rocking the Canadian tuxedo up there.
Just just after Cheers. Just because this movie was 1994. So I think Cheers had just ended its run.
So this would have been after Creep Show, the movie.
Did she? So, Chris, when I projected that, did she run back to the bathroom?
Creep Show, the movie where he gets buried. Remember, he gets buried in the sand with his head above the. Did you guys ever see that Creep Show?
I do.
No.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I remember the cockroach thing from Creep Show, which was disgusting. And yeah,
there was a Creep Show too, also Electric Boogaloo. 1920s, gentlemen. Keep on ignoring that baby. Even well into the 1920s, parenting experts like John Watson told parents to never hug or kiss their child and to leave them in their crib as much as possible if they didn't want them to be spoiled. This was meant to build strong character in the child. Watson wrote in the book Psychological Care of the Infant and Child. So at what age did you acknowledge them?
child. Pat, pat, pat.
Well, Todd, going back to your previous comment, I think even into the 1980s, it was probably age 20.
All right.
No, I shouldn't say that.
Can I throw this out there? And once again, I don't mean to be dark. Do you think they did that because everybody died all the time and they didn't want to get attached?
Kind of makes you wonder. That is a very good point.
Well, I mean, you know, without going off on a tangent,
Child,
what
Being
what is
seen
this?
and not heard.
What is this? I'm not even going to look at her. Look away.
is she of the age to be acknowledged?
No acknowledgement.
I think she can be.
But okay, let me just say this. I think that is definitely hardcore, but I think there's something to it about the give an inch, take a mile type thing.
Yeah.
You know, I say this all the time. Like when I was growing up, if you had company as a child in the house, you can bet your butt shouldn't be sitting on a couch taking up an adult seat. And now, like, you go somewhere and like you can't get because there's kids laying all over the furniture and stuff like that. So I get that. I you know, it's there's been, it went from that to now, and I have a
Get
problem.
them children off the furniture. Make them sit on the floor on the jacks and the train tracks.
Yes, but okay. So if my 79-year-old dad is at somebody's house and their 5-year-old is sitting on the couch with cheese puffs all over him, and my dad has nowhere to sit, that's a problem. And there's too many parents that do that stuff, and that's my issue with it. I mean, like, now you can. You can clearly see our parenting differences here. Yeah, I just don't believe it. I believe in respecting your elders, and I think that's where this came from. But it was too far back then, and we've gone too far the other way now. So somewhere in the 1980s is where we had it right, is all I'm saying.
All I can imagine is right off camera in the corner is your very theatrical, excellent acting daughter in the corner going,
Well, but you can bet if you guys were here, you wouldn't have to be standing while she took up 3 spots on the couch. She would be off the couch, and you guys would have.
Well, I'm not sure she wouldn't be able to take up 3 spots on the couch, would she?
nor
Well,
would she want to be in our presence.
If she laid
Well, that too.
laid down.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like the all of this etiquette stuff. Like it seems so crazy to us to think back then, but then now, is there no etiquette now? Is there no, you know what I mean? Like, think about how many, you know, it's talking about how you ask somebody if they're okay now, and now there's just a lot of people that won't even ask, you know, or won't even make an effort, I guess. So that's kind of the difference.
It seems like Danish and Norwegian children are always Finnish are ranked the most happy and well-adjusted. Maybe we need to ask them.
Can't acknowledge them because of how old they are. Well, I mean, think about this. You guys are teachers, So you've heard what is it, the saying, you don't smile until after Christmas break or whatever that is. It's kind of the same premise, I think, with the thought process of these kids. But what's funny is, again, it doesn't give any of these an age. Like, when I was growing up, if like the adults were playing a card game, the last thing, first of all, I didn't want to be there at the card game. That's nothing. Kids now want to be right there. They want to be right there in the middle of things. So what has caused that? Like, what is?
I don't know. So it's funny that you bring that saying up, because when I student taught in 1993, obviously when you student teach, one of those things you take a class, quote unquote, in student teaching. So part of that is going to, at least back then, it was going to the university and meeting up and having group meetings with the student teaching coordinator or whoever it was. Now, my student teacher coordinator sounded and looked like Ross Perot, Jerry something. I can't remember his last name. But so you got a manual, a student teaching manual that gave you tips and things. And I probably could find it around the house. It's probably in some box here. But so the title of it was "Don't Smile Until Christmas, and That's Only to Receive a Gift." That was the title.
Was it a Harry Wong book?
No, that was before Harry Wong.
Oh,
That was back when you ruled the classroom with an iron fist and you did not smile.
we should probably let people know who aren't educators what we mean by a Harry Wong book.
I take it for granted so much. I'm serious.
Eric, you want to do the honors?
So
It
yeah,
was all about Harry Wong.
no, Harry Wong, an author, educator, who I believe his masterpiece, if you want to call it that, was The First Days of School.
Yeah.
So it teaches you how to set procedures and expectations in your classroom. You don't call them rules; they're procedures. This is how we do things.
Speaking of bad parenting, his parents, that was some cruel naming there.
Yeah. Not only are we not going to acknowledge you until you're 6 months old, we're going to name you that.
Yeah, if your last name is Wong, you go with another first name other than what they went with. Jim. That would be Jim
Yeah.
Wong.
Speaking of Jim, Jim says, and at age 25, the kids start acknowledging their parents again. That's true. It's true.
The cat's in the cradle. Sorry.
Gary, adults are cooler now. That's what the reasoning is. The kids want to be around them.
Oh, I like to think so, but I'm not sure the kid. I'm not sure kids agree with that.
I can't say that's true. Savannah thought you said Harry Long.
Oh, that would be obscene. I would not say that. Yeah.
Chris. Long Duck Wong.
It's going off the tracks here, fellas.
Yes, it is. Bring it back with the etiquette.
Well, Gary mentions that about where adults are cooler now, but do you think that at some time, again, we go back to the 1980s where our parents were sitting around talking to other people and saying how they were much cooler than parents of their generation? I think each generation of parents probably feels they're cooler. But I don't know. I tend to think that young people think we're more lame now than I thought parents were. I don't ever remember thinking adults were lame. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember thinking like your parents. I don't remember thinking, wow, they're just lame. Like they were always cool to me. Like always just.
Well, I don't know about cool. I don't think
hip. I mean, cool as in I'm fine with them. Like I'm.
Oh yeah. I didn't think they understood me. But
Correct.
that was about the end of that. I mean, it wasn't a fact that I thought that they were lame. Just they didn't really understand me.
Now, depending on which adults, like my Uncle Jimmy and my Uncle Denny and Dickie and Dwight, they were colorful characters. So hanging around those adults would usually give me some good stories.
Yeah.
That's number 12. 1930s. Pregnant women shouldn't travel. for reasons you might guess, safety concerns.
Well, what constitutes traveling?
Horseback,
Well-
buggy, steam engine.
You know,
boat.
I can agree. I don't think pregnant women should have been playing basketball at all. Hey, I
They
got the
might
dad.
double dribble.
Is that a twins joke? You know, I think it means for any distance, Fiscus. I don't think it means like they shouldn't like meander across the street into the, you know, into the shop or whatever. I think it just means like long distance travel, and it even says even by car. But again, I mean, this is the 1930s, so
And I think medical science was different in the understanding and health, you know, probably
well,
women's health was different.
but so was travel.
Yes. It's the double whammy.
Yeah, not as smooth by any means. I mean, it was probably a pretty herky-jerky ride, no matter what you were riding on or riding in, or your means of travel was probably not the smoothest. So that's one where I can kind of say that maybe they were on to something there. I mean, you know.
Can we go to a comment real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
So, whoa, Black Gritty, yes, because if you go back to the
Bam a lamb.
80s yes, if you go to the 80s movies, the whole crux of every John Hughes movie in 80s teen but was parents didn't get it and parents were excessively lame. And
I think that's where the lame dad started, Todd. That's your
Yeah. But now that we're parents and we can watch those movies in retrospect, I think it's safe to say also that every one of those movies showed that the parents were definitely right in their concern and their not trusting the kids and their you know what I mean? Like they were always proved. They were always to be right in their, I guess, lameness.
16 Candles is kind of a stretch. And Gary's Parents in Weird Science. You
We had
know,
okay. Good. Now 16 Candles. Let's go there first. So the last scene of 16 Candles. Think about it. I mean, what is shown in that last scene with the dad and Claire?
I was going to say Jake and her sitting on a table.
Well, I get maybe the next last scene.
I mean,
Claire
Well-
and her dad. They were kind of dad kind of okay. I get why you're having a bad day or bad few days here, and
yeah.
you know dad understood. So dad wasn't lame. Dad understood.
Yeah.
Now Gary and Wyatt's parents, yeah, I don't know about that, but
Speaking of which, the other night we played Third Eye Brewing, and it was across the street. It's across the street there in Sharonville from the Sharonville Convention Center, which is where the Cincinnati Comic Expo was. And so there were some interesting characters walking around down there and stuff.
literally.
Yeah, and there was a girl there, a woman there, dressed as Kelly the Brock from Weird Science.
Ooh.
So you pointed out to me we were playing. I probably wouldn't have gotten it. I mean, I could just, but you guys know the outfit I'm talking about. The infamous costume from, or I should say, famous costume from Weird Science.
So a couple comments here, Jim. In the 30s, you might induce labor by riding in a car. Didn't have much of a suspension. This is true too.
True.
Is Jim a car guy?
Jim is a car guy.
So Jim, I am a car buffoon. Were shocks even a thing back then?
Yeah, I couldn't answer that question. I don't know when those came into vogue. Chris
All right.
Chris says, if the lame parents started with John Hughes, where did the dumb bumbling dad in sitcoms start? So what was the first one of that, do you think? Would Al Bundy be considered a dumb bumbling dad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. He was bumbling. So maybe that.
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
I think those two would kind of those are the first two that come to mind, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And again, I mentioned King of Queens. That was an early one, although he's not a dad. just a bumbling spouse, a bumbling husband.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, I say you're a car guy because you're much more of a car guy than I am. I mean, which not say. I mean, the bar is pretty low there, but
So, another thing about all those, not only was it the bumbling dads, bumbling husbands, they all outkicked their coverage.
True.
That's a common thing too, which.
true.
All right, 1930s. Moving on up. Women should use flowers to attract men. Without even reading this, I don't think it's possible to attract me with flowers. I'm just saying. I can only speak for myself.
Agreed.
It says a few handy tips for college-bound women were shared in a 1938 issue of Mademoiselle. Like, have your mom send flowers to your dorm room so that your male peers will think you are in demand. Now I got it. Now it's a
It's a ruse.
They have a lot of gentlemen callers.
There you go. Yes.
Leaving their card. Well, they weren't leaving their calling cards because they weren't allowed to do that.
Right. The magazine also suggested turning off the lights in your room at night so that people would think you aren't at home, even if you are.
Ooh.
How does that work, though? Like, if you want to attract gentlemen callers, make them think you're not. So the idea is
Because you're in demand.
Yeah,
you're
you're
on
out
the
and
bout.
about.
You're mingling. Painting the town red.
1940s, proper hair care requires excessive brushing. It was recommended for women to put in at least 100 strokes a night. Doesn't say for men how many. For a shining halo, and keep brushing until your scalp tingles. What do you think? So not only did you have to comb your hair excessively, you had to count the strokes.
Is it golf?
No, like
Yeah,
1,
I know.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I remember the Brady Bunch, Marsha doing that, sitting in front of the mirror counting in episodes. I'm not making that up. I totally remember that.
Yeah. So Gary says that Fred Flintstone was the first of the bumbling dads.
Ooh.
George Jetson was bumbling too.
That's true. But George Jetson was basically Fred Flintstone in the future. Or were they in the future? Or
We'll have to go down that rabbit hole some other time.
right.
1940s. A lady should not be able to, quote, hold her liquor.
What?
Did you not hear it, or do you not?
I'm trying to process it.
A lady shouldn't be able to hold her liquor. According to Vogue's 1948 Book of Etiquette, the ability to have, this goes back to what I'm saying about etiquette is gone. There's no more books of etiquette. I wonder when the last book of etiquette was published.
I can't tell you about the book, but I always read Miss Manners in the Cincinnati Enquirer every morning.
No wonder you're so genteel and polite, Brady.
I'm a slob.
The ability to have more than a was not a good thing back in the day.
Guess it depends on who you talk to.
As the book claims, she can certainly hold her liquor is not a compliment. So does that mean a woman should refrain from drinking, or should she just hide how much she's actually drinking from those around her?
Okay. So, I was misunderstanding. I thought she was not supposed to hold her liquor. Like when she drank, she would have to act tipsy. But this is saying she should not let everyone know she's tipsy.
She should not be able to drink too much.
Okay.
That's why I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took that same way.
Okay, the 19th edition of Emily Post's Etiquette was published in the year 2017 and cost $45.
We have a very dear friend that went to Shillitoe's every Saturday morning for a while to be taught etiquette classes, like charm school.
Shillitoe's or Shalatos? So when was the last etiquette school or etiquette class?
Or they used to call charm school.
Charm school.
That is a great question. I think that's gone the way of the debutante balls. Like the whole debutante thing.
Yeah.
It was just very antebellum, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's Lady A to you. 1940.
It was just A.
Well, here's a story from the year 2008 in the Chicago Tribune. Clueless society fuels the comeback of charm schools.
See?
Charm schools, also known as finishing schools, are making a comeback as an increasing number of people, especially teenage girls, are signing up to learn how to walk, talk, eat, and dress.
Well, but do you think that there is you can look at that two ways. You can look at that and say that is a knock on teenagers, or you can look at that and say it's a knock on parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Knock on society.
Or, well, because there's all kinds of reasons why someone might not be there to teach them how to walk, or whatever that means. I assume it means walk, and I assume it means like if they're maybe at prom or something and they're wearing high heels. I assume it's how to walk. I don't think it's how to actually walk like one foot in front of the other. I think it's probably walk in some sort of special circumstance. Wouldn't you agree? As carrying themselves in certain, what do you want to call it, like environments or certain.
I remember many a sitcom episode, and I'm talking more than one, 70s and 80s sitcoms, where somebody would be showing a girl how to walk properly so her moneymaker attracts attention. Like you walk like that, you know what I mean? And then it was always cartoonishly bad when they walk. I mean, I've seen so many scene so many times.
But we've all, and I don't say this as a male, I would probably get smacked around for saying this, but I've heard my wife, you if you watch, like if you're around teenage, like let's say homecoming, prom, things like that, you definitely see unfortunately a lot of females walking that can't walk in height. They can't. They just can't walk them. And you know, just you also see males who can't carry themselves in like a tux or like a nice suit, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
So what is the insinuation behind the term moneymaker?
Oh, come on, really?
It's just a rhetorical question.
Oh, okay. It's like,
Brady's getting ready to get out the chalkboard and the.
well, when one is employed at the bank,
The bank.
is an ATM technician. No.
1940s. The salt and pepper must remain together. Separating the salt from the pepper is a big etiquette no-no. Instead, one should pass the two spices as a couple, even if the person asks for just one. So you mean to tell me if I say, can you pass the salt, you're going to burden me with the damn pepper shaker as well?
Yes, you
Not
are.
only that, but I want to know what Karen or Ken or whatever.
Oh, I've been told by my daughter that apparently at one time the male version of Karen is a Todd, which I'm like, how the hell did that happen?
I know exactly how it happened.
But like,
Not from this
can you
time,
imagine
far from
somebody
Todd.
storming out of a dinner or making the pearl clutching vapors face that somebody
Vapors.
left the salt on one end of the table and we have progressed as a society. That would be a regression. There's a practicality. If somebody needs salt, give them the salt. It doesn't have to include both. What if I want jerk spice? What if I want some cilantro? Maybe what happens then? Do you burden them with a whole spice rack being passed down the table?
I gotta be honest. If you ever, the only time I want my salt and pepper in tandem passed to me is if it's those packets that are like together, like we're, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
One side is
the ridge tubes, and you have to tear them and
yeah. They're crinkled. You remember the crinkle cut salt and pepper?
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Like a Ruffles potato chip.
Well, it was satisfying because at one time the crinkle tabs were like you broke them, like they snapped a little bit.
And the
That
crinkle,
was satisfying.
the low hanging crinkle part, the belly of the crinkle packet, is what held the spice.
Yes.
So what you could do,
Disturbing. I know exactly what you mean.
you know what I mean? So sometimes if you pulled it, you could pull it just right and pull it right up to the edge of the belly of the sacket, and you wouldn't get any salt. It was like you could rip it in half and still not get any pathway for the salt or pepper to pour out, because you had to perforate the right where the belly was, where the tunnel of salt was.
And it's not a spice, but on the opposite end of that, heaven forbid if you even nick a pixie stick, it will explode pixie dust like like it's exploded. But the salt and pepper would you would have to work at it. Yeah.
Well, and so if I am expected at the dinner table in the 1940s, if I ask for salt, I'm going to be handed both. Am I required to use both, or am I allowed
I
to
shan't.
say? Am I allowed to say no, thank you? Hold the pepper, or do you have to take it, set one down, and then use it? Use the one that you wanted.
I don't know what the mechanics of that are, but
I mean, if
so
I
get
put pepper in my au jus, I don't want to be burdened, like Todd said, with both. I will season things as I wish.
Gary says you keep the salt and pepper together. I don't have a program to keep track of those things. Call me a Todd if you like.
So, okay, fast forward where condiments became popular. Brady, you might want to hide your ears here. So if I ask for the catsup, do I get handed a tube of mustard at the same time? Do I have to keep the ketchup and mustard together? When does it end?
What if I get past the horseradish and the mayo too?
Right. What if I go to a steakhouse and they have their generic ass crappy steak sauce on the table and I want A1 sauce? Do I
They
have
gave
to
you
get
B2.
Do I have to get
Or-
past both?
Or they give you Worcestershire sauce.
I've never seen it on a table in public.
I have a few times.
That's good on pork.
Pudding.
All right. Pork. 1940s. You should smile when talking on the phone. Well, how's anybody going? How people want to know if you're not?
Your voice has a smile.
That's an easy workaround. Hey guys, can you hear the difference? Hey guys, what are you doing this evening? Can you tell I'm not smiling?
You got a little smirk on your face. You got a little smirk on your face.
Don't look at my
Your-
face. Like,
Your voice had a lilt.
I'm so
And you-
happy to hear
hey
from you.
guys.
See, you can't give your voice a lilt unless you're smiling
Wait a
or at
minute,
least
wait a minute.
smirking.
I'm so glad you called tonight.
Well, you sound like you're constipated. You sound like you're grimacing.
I'm even turning purple.
Great to hear from you guys.
You look like that old man puppet.
What are
The
you trying?
eagle puppet.
How about this? It's been a crappy day.
It can't be done.
Today was one of the worst days of my life. Do you guys
Happy to hear
think
your
that's why?
voice.
Because people can hear your tone. Hey guys.
It's like the days in junior high when somebody said something you'd get in trouble for laughing at, and you had to like sit on the desk and do this so nobody could see the reaction smiling.
Hey guys. Well, you have to have one hand to hold the phone. It says the phone was a relatively new form of technology in the 1940s, according to expert Bernice Morgan Bryant.
Bernie.
Experts always have three names. You know?
Bernies.
Yeah.
Proper phone etiquette meant.
So do assassins.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say the same thing. Proper phone etiquette meant speaking clearly into the phone and adding a smile, even though they can't see you. People should also never bark into the phone. Oof, oof, oof. With phrases like, who is it? Or, what you want?
Pork.
Now, do you guys think maybe this was just foretelling the future and people realized that someday you'd be able to see the person you were talking to? AKA FaceTime and video calls and things like that.
It says it cracks me up where he said you should add a smile to the end of it, like Hello, this is Mr. Shafley from the IRS. You're being audited. You know?
And how?
What-
Oh.
I just can't help but think of like COVID and stuff with all the video meetings and the Google Meets and
Yeah.
things like
Zoom.
that. And the one video with a guy, I forget what kind of call it was, where the guy accidentally turned himself into a cat, like
The
a
cat filter.
cat filter. Oh my goodness!
All right. So, Samantha has arrived and tuned in.
Hey, Samantha.
Samantha.
In capital letters, I do not have a crush on Ted Danson.
Have we been?
Now, wait a minute.
the last few months? Oh, sorry.
Wait a minute.
Okay. I'm taking the comments as you give them tonight.
Well, right? Yeah, it's gotta. Let me put this up here again. Are you sure that you do not have a? I've lost it.
Oh, I can't imagine there's not more pictures of Ted Danson out there.
There it is.
Excuse me.
See if you can find the one of him in blackface. That's a popular one.
Yeah. So come on, Samantha. Now this is what Chris said was your favorite Ted Danson right there. Are you telling me that you don't have a crush on him?
In fact, Chris told us that you wish you were Macaulay Culkin in that picture right there.
And you wished that you were home alone with Ted Danson.
You guys are going to get canceled if you aren't careful. Canceled by Samantha. Don't cancel me,
We love
Samantha. I'm
Samantha.
being crude. We have more
Okay.
comments. I see 38 comments. We have. Is that how many we have? Or is that all together? I guess.
That's all together. Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on, or do you?
Yeah. Move on.
Oh.
Move on. We're good.
1950s. The man is expected to order a woman's food in public. I'm so glad that went away.
Say that one more time.
So you've seen it in movies and stuff where the man orders for both.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes.
I'll have, and the lady will have.
Oh, that would go over great.
Do I hear sarcasm in your voice, Brady?
Well, no. I mean, I can imagine. Yes, I will be having, the Maui Wally pizza small at Mellow Mushroom, and she'll be having the artichoke. What? Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
So
is he guessing?
well, see, I always assumed it was arranged before the meal.
There was a discussion had.
See, I always took it like, hey, I know what I'm talking about here, and you're gonna have this, and you're gonna love it. With
I mean-
the subtext is you're gonna like it.
It's
What
like,
else?
or is it little hints towards what you want to see a change in? Like, I'll take the roast beef. She'll have the frosted mini wheats. She needs a little more fiber in her diet, if you know what I mean. Is it suggestive of some sort of insult? Like,
I mean, I know how I would feel in Red Robin. It's like where she would, if the lady would say, "Yes, I'll have the double cheeseburger," and he'll have the salad.
Yeah. Well, I'll have the surf and turf, and she'll have the oysters on the half shell.
No, I think
She'll have the Spanish fly laced surf and turf. Yeah.
no, I think there had been a prior conversation about what the order was going to be. I don't
Yeah,
think the
and I
man
think-
unilaterally decided what the date was going to have.
I mean, if you wanted to be a real charmer, you would already have it set up. You would call ahead. You would befriend the waiter or the cook or the chef, whatever, and you would already have it to where if you wanted to impress them, they sit down. It's already brought to them what they want. That to me would make more sense than ordering for them. And here's the thing, ladies that are listening along, do you think at one time it was looked upon as like chivalry, or like looked up? Was it looked at as a good thing, or was it always annoying for the women? You know what I mean? Like I would like to know that. Like,
But I mean, are the I don't know, but Mom, are you still on the podcast here? I believe your Mama Liming. I believe your opinion would hold some considerable weight in this conversation because you are of a previous generation, and I don't know if Mousy did that when you went out to eat. If he ordered for you, what was that?
Yeah.
Chivalrous?
When did that end? Like, I would like to know that as well. Did it?
Probably shortly after Fast Times when they saw how Damone was.
Probably.
I mean, it still happens sometimes if like, and I don't even feel right doing it. You know, like you're saying, let's say we're at a pizza place and we are going to split a pizza and whatever we're going to get, I don't even feel right then. It's like, I still feel like everyone should be talking and telling them what they want.
Yes.
All right, so the gauntlet has been thrown. First of all, Celia's in the room. Hello, Celia.
Hey, Celia.
So Samantha says if he wants to play that way, don't get me started on Chris and Melissa Joan Hart.
That explains it all.
No, that wasn't her, was it?
Yeah,
was she Clarissa?
Yeah.
She was Sabrina the Teenage Weotch.
Yes.
Weotch. All right.
So here we have an answer. Mom says, "Sorry, I lost you." No, but no, he let me order my own. So,
Linda, do you remember that? Was that something that ever a tradition or a commonality in your lifetime, or
Brown County area, or is that more of a?
Because it says well, that was the 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would have been right about when probably your mom was in high school in the late 50s.
She graduated in 60, I believe.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, this would have also been a time where it's like, I'll have the steak and the dame will have the
the dame.
I'll have a Boilermaker and she'll have a Shirley Temple.
She'll have one flute of champagne and she'll like it.
Yes.
Not a half a flute.
Number 19.
So Celia has a comment here. It says, befriending the waiter and setting it all up before the day to straight out of St. Elmo's far.
Celia, you know that I will always be your man in motion.
All you need is a set of wheels.
Thank you. 1950s. The host always serves the meat. Always serves the meat.
Got an itchy eye there, Todd?
I do. In a house without a maid, guests should look, it says gasp. Guests should look to the host to serve the meat. It gives a whole new meaning to the term the hostess with the mostess. And then pass along each plate to the guest seated to the right until everyone is served meat. Everyone's meat has been served, according to Emily Post. So not only is the host supposed to serve the meat, what if the host can't manage meat? Like, I would be screwed if I had to carve meat and actually, dish it out.
If you gave me one of those, big old super tuning, those big old forks, and one of those hatchet sawing things and a big old hammered turkey, it would look like a crime scene after I was done.
My dad always had the electric meat knife thing. I mean, he literally.
Oh yeah.
You have to get on a chair. It was above the fire.
Yeah.
Stove. It was behind the Daddy's cookies, the Devil's Food cookies. It had its own canvas bag. You pull out this box.
It was avocado green and white, wasn't it?
I was gonna say it's piss green, and you get it out, and then it had a bone, a fake bone handle.
I think everyone had that same electric knife.
Yes. Yeah. My Uncle Tom would use that on the turkey. My mom would cook it and everything, but Uncle Tom was a master carver. And, I mean, he would have felt right at home at Boston Market, and he did it perfectly.
Yeah. They said, and then like the actual apparatus was like a warm banana pudding color. It was like a yellowish goldenrod. Yeah, everybody had that.
All right. So
what I'm saying though, sorry, real quick, is I did not know there was a certain rotation of meat serving. I didn't know that like it went to the person
to the right.
What if that puts a lot of pressure on the carver?
So would that be counterclockwise? Is that what that would be?
Right, counterclockwise. But imagine you're setting in the middle, and the carver's inconsistent with his the portions.
And you have to watch a good old hunk go by on the plate, and you're left with gristle and cheek.
Reminds me of the night, Eric. We all went to it had the baby porpoise at where was that? Ryan's.
Ryan's.
Celia knows what I'm talking about too.
Did
everybody get ill?
Everybody except Eric, because he didn't have any baby porpoise.
I did not. I refrained.
When you say baby porpoise, I mean I'm sure it's some kind of pork, but like what designated as baby porpoise?
Look like a slab of some sort of aquatic mammal, laying there quivering on the end of the.
Did it look funny?
So you know the color of a manatee. That's what it looked like.
That's been dead for a month. Dying by killer whales and
birds.
We got several comments. Mama Liming said Mousy let her order her own food, and she said if that was the case around in society, it was probably more to try to be kind by ordering for the lady.
Yeah, I don't think it was a disrespectful thing.
No. Celia says she would have to serve the meat.
Yeah, she's better at serving the meat than I am. That's for sure. I'm not very good at it. I'm good at eating it, but I can't cut it up to perfection.
Mama Liming also says, I'm sure there would be discussed beforehand the order.
Class of 1960.
19 and 60. Gary says, stack the chicken nuggets uniformly.
They're already proportioned. They're already perfectly portioned.
Celia, well, you serve from the right and clear from the left, I think. Celia seems like she's probably been through some charm school classes or something.
Did you go to charm school?
Finishing school. Any variation thereof.
I've always said it. She's just full of useless information. Well, in some cases it's useful, but since nobody has etiquette anymore, it's not useful anymore.
Chris says, I'm not admitting to anything but Brady with the perfect comment to the Melissa Joan Hart comment that Samantha claimed. So here we go, Chris. Which one is the perfect Melissa Joan Hart? You got to say which one.
Well, got real quiet.
As everyone peruses the Melissa Joan Harts.
Everybody's putting on their
Melissa Joan Hart.
Putting on their monocles so they can check
Melissa's Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart.
I'm going. Okay, I'll make my choice. No shame in my game. Top row. Top row. Fourth over.
I just noticed, Chris.
That's what I was laughing about.
I'm going top row, fourth from the left, or purple dress, two over to the right.
Oh,
or bottom right blue shirt.
Yeah.
So Chris says bottom sixth from the left.
Are you counting Are you talking about the first picture of her, or are you talking about the one that has the movies?
I think he's talking about the one wedged betwixt the green dresses. I think she's wearing like a plum sweater.
No, he said bottom, Brady.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. It is the bottom.
Yeah.
But he said sixth from the left.
Yeah, sixth from the left. Okay, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's
So
the
I think the one of her with the gold curtains behind it.
strapless. Well, the
Yeah,
strapless gown,
Yes.
I
yes.
believe.
Yeah. So that picture, here's how Chris is looking at it.
So this is what I was like. Me and Brady were laughing about. So Samantha says, "Seriously, you had to change your profile photo," and let me put Chris's comment up there. Oh.
Oh.
You thought that was going to garner you some points, Chris, and you were wrong.
We
I know
have the
what
best
Chris-
listeners. We do.
I know what Chris is dressing up like for Halloween. He's going to put on his best Ted Danson outfit.
We get the Canadian tuxedo and a Macaulay Culkin doll.
Is Ted Danson Canadian? I mean, I know that's
No.
not the, but is he actually
Nah,
Canadian?
I don't
Okay.
believe
Nah.
so.
No.
1950s. This is interesting. And out of left, cut asparagus in half before eating it. So it says, however, in Emily's Post, 1970, traditionally the vegetable was known in British society as finger food. However, in Emily's Post 1975 revision of her etiquette book, she suggests cutting your stalk in half before picking it up to avoid the ungraceful appearance of a bent stalk. Nobody likes a bent stalk. Am I right, fellas? Asparagus falling limply into. This is very suggestively written. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Let me read that quote over again because I'm doing a poor job of reading. This is what happens when you don't look ahead. This is organic. The ungraceful appearance of a bent stalk of asparagus falling limply into someone's mouth, and the fact that moisture is also likely to drip from the end.
This is going in a bad direction.
But it's because of society. In 1975, that's a quote from Emily Post magazine, 1975. I guarantee you it was meant to be taken literally.
I was going to ask Nancy to the cotillion, but that one time I saw her grip. She had a bent stalk that she placed it in her mouth, and I bid that hussy a good morrow, and I left.
Well deserved, I might add.
No, you said, "Good morrow, ma'am."
I said good.
I said good day, man.
Oh, man.
You might as well call her something that started with F.
Take hold of your bent stalk and be gone. So, okay, I don't get it. So, there's only one end of the asparagus that's even worth eating, because the fat end of asparagus always gets tough. You know what I mean?
Asparagus is a producer of the gout.
It is.
Really?
Asparagus gives me the gout.
I thought it was just a stinky pea vegetable.
That's the beauty of
That's
it.
why it gives you the gout. It affects your urine, creates uric acid crystals in your big toe.
Are you making that up?
No,
As opposed-
I'm not making it up. Eating too much asparagus has actually given me the gout.
Yeah, I knew that.
I remember that Far Side comic strip where it was said business ideas that failed, and it looked like an ice cream truck, and it said I cuss, you cuss, we all cuss for asparagus.
I love asparagus, but it's got to be cooked right. I don't like my asparagus crunchy. I like it, like most of my vegetables, I like them well done. Broccoli,
Yeah, like broccoli.
You don't like
Yeah.
it with a bent stalk.
no. Brussels, the sprouts of Brussels, I like them well done. Number 21, 1950s. Crackers aren't appropriate for every meal. What do you think of that?
I'm not appropriate. I mean, crackers don't go with every meal, but not appropriate is a strong term. Like if you were to eat crackers with the wrong meal, someone would.
This New England chowder was served with crackers instead of Melbourne toast.
Yeah.
Pa.
Since you guys had texted there, you might want to read. But, um, uh,
Does it have anything to do with Celia saying, "Hello, Justin.
hey, Justin.
German asparagus is white and doesn't make your pee smell. What an invention. Does it give you the gout?"
First
Oh.
off, I would just like to say that, Justin, I don't know if you remember me or not, man, but I haven't heard your name in years. It's great to see you and hear from you, man. And
Justin
second off,
served our country valiantly.
thank you for your service, man. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Second off, thanks for teaching us. We love to be educated on this show, and I had no idea there was white asparagus.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that.
Yeah,
That
albino
is,
asparagus guy.
Celia also says 2 likes his veggies limp. And
Two?
she says Todd, not 2.
Oh, okay. I do. I don't like them crunchy. I don't get this cracker. It says, according to a film on table manners made by the Emily Post, was apparently pretty popular, which features Emily herself. She says croutons are to be sprinkled onto soup, while crackers are meant to be crumbled. And crackers are only meant to be served with dishes like clam chowder or oyster stew. What, did Emily never have chili?
You only serve a peanut butter sandwich with chili.
Right. I have a new setup with my chili, Eric. I think you're going to like this. So here's what I do with a bowl of chili. You get the bowl first. Shredded cheese.
In the bottom of the bowl.
A couple crackers. You don't overburden it with crackers. You eat it until the cheese is gone. Then you make a peanut butter sandwich. You dip it in the chili without cheese in it. Then, when you're done with the peanut butter sandwich, you take individual crackers, a slab of peanut butter, just one stroke of peanut butter on the cracker, put it in the chili, and eat it like that.
It's a lot of work.
It's proper though. It's the way to do it.
It's solid, but the mechanics of my chili eating are kind of opposite. I will eat the peanut butter sandwich first until it is gone after I've dipped it all in the chili. Then I'll put the cheese on.
I've done that.
Then I'll eat the cheese and then do what you just did. Well, crackers, but
the putting the peanut butter on the crackers is relatively new, but it's amazing how it works so well. But you're onto something, Eric, and I've done it that way. And here's what you gain: you gain less cheese melting that way.
True.
Because when the chili is hot and you expose it to shredded cheese, every spoonful you got a string of cheese down between your nipples when you're trying to eat it. It's stuck to your chest.
That's true. That's true.
I don't even want to tell you how I eat chili. I just
probably with a fork.
I can guess with a fork.
Probably with a fork.
No, I'm just probably gonna sound like a cretin. I load it down with crackers, and it just goes down go down the go hole, and all in one. I mean, it's not a pretty sight, nor is it.
Well,
calculated.
When I was younger, I took the bowl and I put so many crackers in it that it literally turned to sawdust. Like you needed.
Yeah. It's like, do you want some crackers or you want some chili with your crackers? Yeah.
But I've matured since then. I don't use as many crackers
now. Several comments. Justin has been traveling the world for 22 years.
It's awesome, man.
Has also had to explain the peanut butter sandwich and chili all around the world. Yes, yes, preach, brother. Be a missionary with the peanut butter and chili.
If you could also add to your cause cutting pizza with scissors, man, you would be doing the world a solid. Because everybody I've ever turned on to it has thanked me. So Justin, you can carry that torch. But the other night I had to have a conversation with our keyboard player, our sound man, and somebody else, and they acted like I was crazy. They'd never heard of peanut butter sandwiches with chili. And what? Because we're not talking about people from another country here. We're talking about people just from a couple counties over had never heard of peanut butter sandwich with chili. I know.
They're not true Midwesterners.
I was blown away by these two fine gentlemen. But just the ins and outs of chili eating, questionable.
Were they willing to try that?
The conversation continued after and they were willing to try it because I was trying to throw the peanut butter cracker technique onto them as well. I think it's also depending on what kind of chili you like. If you like your chili with some sweetness to it, the peanut butter even makes it more enticing. If you're a person that wants more like the peppers and chunks of vegetables and stuff in your chili, I don't think the peanut butter would go as well.
Right. So Justin says he lives in the South now, in Louisiana. Is that right, Justin? I believe they do not understand Gold Star at all here. Although really, all they should understand is Skyline. But
Oh,
don't be that guy.
That old chestnut. Samantha had not understood or hadn't heard of the peanut butter and chili until she moved to Ohio.
Forgive me, you told us before. Are you from Mississippi?
Mississippi?
Alabama, somewhere.
Mississippi and Chicago, I believe.
Okay.
That's a well-rounded individual. Mississippi
Yes.
and Chicago. Justin says made Gold Star for Sunday school class in Louisiana. Most liked it. So now, if you could meld the Cincinnati chili with the gumbo, now that probably would be a winner.
Now, Justin, do you have family around here still that like sends you the Cincinnati style chili, or do you order it from Amazon or online somewhere, or what?
Or as Gary says in Brady's World, chili Fort Kearney.
All right.
Samantha says she choked when a 75-year-old lady was mentioning a three-way to me for the first time.
Oh. Oh. Thank you for sharing.
Imagine if she'd have been talking to you about chili.
The pineapple was upside down.
Or Ted Danson.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for 1950s? Cut up your salad before you eat it. That drives me nuts. People that eat salad with a knife and a fork.
Agreed.
No.
And it seems to be assumed even to this very day when you're served a salad, it comes with a knife. I never use a knife on a salad.
There's only one type of salad where a knife is appropriate, and that is a wedge. Like if you get one of those big wedges of lettuce.
I can't do that.
No, I can't eat it. But I can see needing a knife for that because your fork won't do much.
And I will admit here, I've not ever had a wedge salad because I'm afraid if I do, it would have that like bitter lettuce in it, like in the little round stalk.
Are you talking about like the middle?
Lettuce navel.
Yeah. The buttle.
Yeah.
Eat as quietly as possible. That's a given. I mean
that's timeless.
With an oat bag on her face.
That's timeless etiquette.
Men should escort women on their left. On whose left? On the man's left or the woman's left?
The only thing I know is the gentleman is like when walking on the sidewalk is supposed to place himself between the road and
if you're being honest, I always do that with my daughter and my wife, and my son actually. I do it with him, but he's getting old enough now where he needs to do that for me though, because protect his old man.
Right.
It says when a man escorted a woman in medieval times, what does that have to do with the 1950s? It was on his left arm, so that if danger arose, his right arm would be free for combat. So they had no lefty swordsmiths.
Well, you weren't allowed to be left-handed back then.
Oh,
yeah, you were forced to be right-handed. Right.
Although this sounds outdated, it is still considered proper etiquette today and was very closely followed in the 1950s. Don't you think that depends on where you are and what your surroundings are? Like if you're, I mean, I think a good swordsman can use either hand.
Yeah, well, I have heard also that if you're escorting a lady that's down the sidewalk, the male should be on the street side of the sidewalk, whichever.
That's what Brady was saying earlier. Yeah. I said I
sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I actually do that, which I don't do many things properly, but I do that.
Oh, Justin, that's why we salute right-handed in the military. It's your
Interesting.
sword hand.
Guys,
Yeah.
for time's sake, I'm going to skip some if that's okay. Some
Okay, and I got some comments here too.
Okay.
Justin also says all the family's still here in Ohio. Have it sent to him from Dad in Mount Orab. Also says eating a salad's like a gambling now. Will I get E. coli or not?
Yeah.
You just gotta tough it out. You just gotta
or apparently a quarter pounder with cheese as well.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Scary. I just had a quarter pounder the other night.
Yeah, and the salute is to show that they don't have a weapon.
I've heard in Arabic cultures that when you sit like in Bedouin cultures, when you're invited into dinner, you're supposed to eat right-handed, so you're not pulling like a sword or a what. Like that's where that comes from too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I know that. Sorry.
More comments?
So nope.
Okay. 1950s. We're still in the I skipped 3 of them, and we're still in the 1950s. A woman never pays the bill on a date. You were talking about this earlier, Eric.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going freaky deaky Dutch. So, is it a good thing or a bad thing this has changed? How's that? I'll put you on the spot, gentlemen.
I think more it's, and I mean I'm out of the dating game, but when are you supposed to pay, and when does that stop? like in the whole courtship process. So I see like the first date the guy's paying, but eventually it seems like there's a shift somewhere in that whole situation. And where does that shift occur? And it didn't occur in the 50s, I guess.
Right. Well,
I'd say
because
the 70s.
men were still ordering the food for the women too. So
Well,
if I'm a woman in the 1950s, I'm like, if you're going to tell me what I got to eat, you're going to pay for it.
well, true.
But do you think we have some female listeners? What do they think? Is it considered offensive to assume that I should pay? You know what I mean? Like, if the male just says, "Look, I'm the guy. I'm paying for our dates. I'm paying. Don't the money. Keep your money. It's all of me every time we date." Is that considered offensive in today's feisty world, or is that considered? Is that a McDreamy type thing where it's a throwback to the gentleman, or is there not even any thought? I'm interested to know from our female listeners what they think.
So yeah, a couple comments on the prior question, Savannah. Some people in the old days believe left-handed people were possessed by the devil, which I think we mentioned that as well. Gary also says the left hand is considered not clean in many cultures.
The wiping hand.
I mean, that's true.
Like
That's true.
in religious circles, like the right hand, like so if someone used to say they followed the left hand path, they were a Satanist or practiced witchcraft.
Yeah.
So I
During
don't know what the reference is, but
Yeah. Justin also says been married 18 years, so I'm out of the dating games. Have to admit I'm happy that I am as well.
Yes. Could you imagine
Ugh.
the pressure alone on proms and promposals now alone would make me not want to ever even date. No longer can I just ask you to go to prom. I have to come up with a catchy little limerick, which I can do, with a catchy little limerick to impress you enough to say yes.
So how does that evolve? I mean, is it something where I have to basically know that the other person is going to accept my promposal before I go through this motion here of creating this scene? Or do people actually ask other people that they think may say no?
So now I've thought that. I've wondered, like, is it a safe ask when you're doing this? I've shared my thoughts, and I do not intend to offend anyone who has a teenager who has taken part in the promposals. I would just say I was happy to have a son who didn't buy into that. He asked to go to prom the same way I asked people to go to prom back in the day.
hey, woman, Come
Yeah,
to prom
woman.
with me.
You're going to prom and you're getting the veal, and you're going to like it.
The veal.
The veal.
You remember having veal patty on bun at Sardine Elementary and like the veal nuggets? You remember that?
Yes.
I was eating lunch at home.
Oh, come on. The veal was perfect. It was good. It was better than the chicken nuggets. But anyway, I don't have experience with that. I can see it on Facebook. But I can't imagine they were going through all the trouble making the sign, coming up with the catchy little alliteration to be told no, or to even take a chance on being told no. So I think it's always a safe, like, I put it this way. I hope for any guy's sake that there's no pressure that if their sign and their approach isn't good enough, that there's a chance they'll get told no. I hope for their sake that they don't ask anyone like that. So that's kind of
All right.
I blame MTV in reality TV, like Bridezilla, Sweet 16, all those that had it over the top. I think that's where it started.
Yeah. So
you know where it started.
I think that's it.
Do you know where it started? Actually, you opened up the Brown County Press of the News Democrat circa 1990, and you always saw it. Lordy, look
who's 40.
Wow. Ain't that nifty? So-and-so turned 50. They gotta be dirty. Just look who turned 30. They got a busted hiney. They just turned 90. I want to know whose job it was to come up with the rhymes. Obviously, it could have been me. But...
It was Unisoc's job.
Literally, nobody in Brown County turned 40 back then without having a damn half-page ad in the paper.
That's true.
Lordy, look who's 40.
So,
do you remember seeing that and thinking, damn, they're old? Like, God, 40?
Yes, I do.
They're close to being 40, as old as they are.
So, Carrie says, as far as the promposal, so it's a very safe ask. They all know that it's going to be a yes. They all talk about it, and they know it's ridiculous. She says,
their people reach out to their people, and it's all pre-programmed. In other words,
or is it even representatives reaching out to each other, or do they actually set it up? Like we are going to do this. You will say yes, and this is the venue in which it will happen.
You will cry and act surprised, and
it's all for snaps and Instagrams
and TikToks.
Yes. Utes.
Bah humbug.
Then Carrie says, the moms have to take the best shot for Insta. There you go. That's what it is. It's all about the socials. So, and there is no way, shape, or form that if that had been a thing back in our day, I'd have been a monk. I swear. There is no way on God's green earth am I going to go out in the middle of humanity and do that.
I was a monk anyway.
What?
Even if I was told that she was going to say yes, there is no way I would ever have done that.
You wouldn't have the mariachi band march into the middle of the cafeteria as you swung swashbuckling style down from a rope in the gym, did a 360 and stuck the landing on top of a cafeteria table.
No, I don't want that attention. No, that's no. Exactly, Chris. How great was life without social media? Well, let's ponder that one for a moment as we broadcast here on Facebook and YouTube. And exactly, Mom. And you get there, and it's just a dance. You're thinking about, it's prom, it's special, and you dress up in a tux, and you end up with the bow tie around your head at the end of the night, and it's just a dance. It's just a dance.
It wasn't about the tux. It was about the T-shirt that looked like a tux that you got free for getting the tux.
I never got one of those.
What?
Never ever did I get one of those. I wanted one. Why did I not get one? How did you get one? I didn't.
I don't know.
Did I go to the wrong place? I thought we got our tuxes from the same place.
Same place at Eastgate?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I never got one.
Maybe
Maybe I
waited
would-
to the last minute.
I was gonna
and
say
it
maybe
was
I
out.
was tardy. I could see that.
There was one
Yes.
time I was denied because they were out. The only one they had left was like a small, which would have been like a crop top on me, so I passed.
You should have taken it.
Yeah.
I think I have my limerick about the
Oh, I knew you were working on something. I could see the wheels turning.
There once was a boy at school who made a sign just to not be a tool. But then she said no, so he called her a hoe. Skipped the big dance like a fool. There you go.
Yes.
My work is done. My work is done. Now, if you'll notice, I was harsh to both parties there because the boy,
That's-
like a fool, skipped the dance when he should have just called. So I
That's
wasn't.
correct.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
my work.
So Savannah says promposals. I think she meant to type remind me of flash mobs. Very,
Yeah.
very similar. Kenny Enlow's Skeffingtons. Yes.
Yes,
It's called
Skeffingtons.
Skeffingtons.
I was thinking Wellingtons, and I knew that wasn't right. I was half right.
Kitty, I don't know how it was when you guys were in school, but when I was in school, was it Skeffington's there in the mall?
Yeah.
But you could do your if you like got 3 people to go get their tux there, you got a free tux. So both of my tuxes, my junior and senior year, I got free because I
Who did you strong arm into getting a tux
You dragged
ring?
them.
I don't remember. I
Now how fair is that? You strong arm 2 other people to go get a tux and you get yours for free. Did they know that? Did they know that you profited off you strong arming them? You should have split that into thirds,
Go to Skeffingtons, or I'm going to kneecap you if you know what's good for you. Go to
Right?
Skeffingtons.
like what is up with that?
I think it's no different that
Speaking of etiquette,
Maybe each person should have only paid thirds.
exactly.
well, it's no different than like now. I mean, like there's all kinds of things like that now where if you email the link to people and if 3
Yeah.
people sign up, you get something free. I mean,
So how do you approach that in the days? Now today you can just send a text or something like click this link and
Right,
join me, and I get 10,000 points and you get 10,000 points. But how do you approach that back in the day when you had to face hand someone a piece of paper and say, hey, I can get my tux for free if you go buy your tux over here?
Get in the car. I'm taking you, and I'm going to say that I made you come.
we're going to Scuffington's, whether you like it or
Scuffingtons.
not.
Scuffingtons.
So did Scuffington's go out of business?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or about the same time as Chess King did, I think.
are there any tuxedo place like it seems like every place to get tuxedos now are like a hair salon or something. Like it's like a dual, you know what I mean? Like you get your hair did and order your tux.
Okay, hold the phone. I got to put this comment. Is this true, Justin? Or are you pulling our leg? If you get 2 buddies to join the army, you start at a higher rank.
Wow.
Wow.
What a bargain!
What do you think of that, Justin?
You're graduating basic training as a 3-star?
Yeah, there you go.
Dang.
Interesting.
That's an interesting recruiting pitch there.
I'm going to be getting a phone call from Matt and Amber to sign the name on the line.
What if I get 2 people to join the army and I'm not in the army? What do I get?
you and you, unless.
What if I annoy people so badly that they have to get out of here and just get out of my house and go join the military and leave because, but I've never really thought about that, but I mean, it's a good promotional thing to get people to join. And on top of that is if you're in the military, you have a good eye for people who would make good soldier, good military members. So I can see how that works.
Wow.
But I never realized.
I always wanted to start the Salvation Navy. Like
Salvation Navy, yes. Justin says you start at an E3 instead of an E1. Ensign 3 instead of Ensign 1. And Todd, you get a pat on the back if you can get 3 people to join and you don't. Yeah, Jim, that is true. And how sad is it? We've talked about that before. Everything at Eastgate Mall has gone out of business. Not everything. There's still some stuff open. not much. But so you were a recruiter for 6 years.
Nice. Nice.
So Chris concurs, definitely true for every branch. Had a few people in boot camp that did it for sure. Maxes out at E3 though. So you can't get 10 people to join and be like an E5 or something. E7.
If you get 15, can you just retire? That would be awesome. You just,
There
Yeah,
you go.
you get about
Yeah.
20 people and you're sitting with Eisenhower, you know.
all right.
Even though Eisenhower's been dead for 60 years.
Yeah, you better hope you're not sitting with Eisenhower.
Mhm.
You should send your daughter to charm school. This is we're into the 1960s now. We talked about it. The Sears Discovery Charm School was busy turning young girls into refined ladies in the 1960s and 70s, teaching them subjects like exercise/diet, voice/speech, modeling, skincare, grooming, makeup, fashion, and manners. Why were there no boys etiquette schools?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Don't boys need this information? Especially about the grooming part and,
Here-
and the
Boys
cleanliness.
Boys went to school and it was 2 days. And the first day you learned dame, and the second day you learned broad, and that was it. That was pretty much all they taught people back then.
My sister was my charm school. She taught me how to dress properly and a little splash of Drakkar. And
Turns out when you cut your sister's Barbie doll hairs and you stab them in the belly with their baby dolls in the belly with ink pens, they're not very charming. So I didn't experience that.
I did not do that.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes. Well, I remember my sister had one of those, like, for back in the day. We're talking the 1980s here. Early 80s was supposed to be like a realistic doll. And all I knew is when you squeeze on its stomach, it felt squishy. So I wanted to know what was in there. So I poked its belly button. And
Okay,
it was a
Dexter.
clear, like, Aura-gel looking
Dexter or Jill. Well,
Scratch Armstrong, his armpit finally cracked. And it was
What was
like this. Yeah, it was like that gooey, syrupy stuff.
gelatinous.
Yeah.
So at least you weren't like another friend of ours who used Barbie
A
as
Barbie
the
doll.
Charmin.
Yes. Which I can think of 1,000 different things I would rather use than a Barbie doll for.
I think it was the only thing there.
I mean,
I thought it was out of anger and angst.
Oh,
I would think one's own hand would be more comfortable than a Barbie doll.
I'm mixing up the stories of the Barbie doll and the Wendy's hand puppet. The Wendy's hand puppet that came in a child's meal, I think, was
Yeah.
necessity.
Yeah, that was
accident.
necessity.
Yeah.
I think the Barbie doll was out of anger.
All right, 1960s. Oh, sorry.
All right, Chris has a. Todd didn't need charm school from the stories he's told. He's got enough charm from his Uncle Dennis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh my goodness. I have a lot of my Uncle Dennis in me. That's for sure. Never take more than one bite of food at a time. So is that just a way of saying, like, chew each bite before you take another bite? Like, because
Joking.
I like to take a piece of chicken or meatloaf, stab it, run it through the baked potato mill, get some gravy on it, and eat it all at once. Is that not etiquette? Because it says never take more than one bite of food at a time. Does that mean per food?
I think it means for fork load.
So we can be up again. We can be up again and in it and still be fine etiquette wise.
Yeah.
We
But you
can't.
can't go back to the well and have 2 pieces of miat loaf on the pork.
Right. What if I want to take one stab of meatloaf, run it through the mashed potato mill, back the other way through the gravy moat, and then stab another piece of meatloaf as to sandwich it in?
No.
It's called a glove
Nope.
sandwich.
Nope.
That
Two
would
pieces
need a
of
toothpick
meatloaf.
with a little plastic fringy thing on it.
Tell that to the man who invented the hot shot, or the woman who invented the hot shot.
But
As
the
opposed to
concept
the
of hot
open face roast beast.
Because here's the proper hot shot bite. Fork food. You take your fork, you get a piece of bread, meat, gravy, mashed potatoes, and a bottom piece of bread.
Gravies.
But that is considered the entity of food. Now the hot shot is acceptable, but you could not have a multi-course meal where you got a piece of roast beast, you trotted it over to the gravy, you trotted it over to the potato and the beans, and got it on one fork load. When it's a hot shot, it's one entity. I'm just trying to.
I'm supposed to believe that I have to accept both the salt shaker and the pepper shaker at the same time, but yet I can only have one bite of food on my fork at the same time.
I don't make the rules. I only enforce them.
Those cancel each other out.
All right,
That's
so
my way.
so here's my problem with a hot shot.
Gravy.
Well, gravy is the main problem, but it's a texture thing, and it's soggy bribs. Bribs and mashed potatoes together is a texture problem.
Says you.
It's like spackle
Yes.
on meat.
Yes.
Speak.
Yes, says me. That's why I can't deal with a hot
Yeah.
shot.
Well, that has to be. That has
You
to be
prefer a
troublesome.
room temperature shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you liked everything but the gravy in a hot shot, you'd be in trouble because the gravy is what is. I mean, you have to have gravy on the hot shot. But
Have the gravy on the hot shot. Sounds like
So is the hot shot without the gravy, is that the open faced roast beast?
I think it's the same thing.
It is. I think the only difference between an open faced roast beast and a hot shot is I think sometimes the. No, I got nothing.
No, I
Well,
gotta look
No,
it up.
I know what it is.
I-
The bread is on top of a hot shot. The beast
Right.
is on top of the
Open
bread.
face, no
on an
top
open
layer of
face.
bread.
Yeah.
Also,
How it's stacked.
everybody out there who has anything to do with the restaurant industry,
Hold on. I'm going to look it up.
do yourself a favor. Your roast beef for your hot shot needs to be like chunks of roast beef. Don't have the slices of roast beef. Nobody likes that in a hot shot. We want the chunks of roast beef.
I don't mind it.
It's not real roast.
Yeah.
Like Arby's at that point.
It's-
You know what? Why hasn't Arby's come out with a hot shot? Or Roy Rogers?
Arby's doesn't have gravies.
But they can get it. I mean, if Arby's
Yeah,
can put out
OG.
that half-assed hamburger they have, they can at least get some gravy.
Well, we've talked about Arby's being out of their lane with this hamburger business. RB stands for roast beast, not hamburgers.
I don't think I ever put that together.
You were today days old when you figured out what Arby's is?
Yeah.
RB, roast beast.
Roy Rogers, roast beef. There you go.
Roast row.
All right, while Brady's looking that up, 1960s, shake hands at elbow level. Well, I think that's just out of. I mean, who's going to shake hands like that? Like you want it to be. You don't.
Does that mean the hand and the elbow have to be like level? Like
So,
you can't.
so if I'm standing
can't-
up, so I go out and shake. Is that what it's saying? I don't ever go out and shake or down and shake. I go out. That angle right there.
Yes. There's got to be a
Or
90-degree
y'all.
angle.
I feel sorry for people who don't watch this show sometimes.
Hey, I got the answer. According to AI Overview on Google, a hot shot and an open-faced roast beast are essentially the same thing, both referring to a sandwich where a slice of bread is topped with a generous amount of sliced roast beast and gravies. But a hot shot might be more of a regional term, often associated with the Midwest, particularly in places like Indiana, where it's sometimes called a beef Manhattan.
Whoa,
Oh,
That's
okay. Whoa.
Patton.
Now, where are the taters? Because I think a hot shot has to have taters. That in my mind, that's the differentiation.
It does.
The open-faced
So
roast beast does not have the taters, whereas the hot shot does have the taters.
well, I also think in like ever since like low carb kind of became popular, that there's lots of open faced options for things. To me, an open face is just a sandwich without the top bun. You know what I mean?
It's the meats on top of the bribs.
That's
I
what I
have
mean.
seen-
It doesn't have a top bun. I mean, that's pretty much by definition. You have the bottom bun for meat and then no top bun. But I agree, Eric. If I get an open face sandwich, it doesn't have mashed potatoes on it typically.
Right.
Not to be
Right.
confused with the loose meat sandwich.
That has no gravies.
That's where you just have meat all over the place. Just meat.
Yeah.
I have seen 3 different kind of hot shots, or I've seen a turkey one, I've seen a roast beef one, and I've seen a meatloaf one.
Yeah, the meatloaf ones are rare, but they're great if you can find them. And it's the right kind of meatloaf.
I hope your meatloaf is not rare.
Don't want meatloaf. All right. Interestingly enough, 1960s always have a cigarette on hand. I don't think that hasn't
Smoke
held
'em.
up well.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah. Okay. 1960s. Avoid dead fish hands. I didn't know fish had hands. Come on. In the 1950s and 60s, there were a lot of do's and don'ts for a woman to follow, including how to position her arms. In this instructional guide, a woman is advised not to let her hands hang straight to her sides as it distracts from her silhouette. So again, why is that just a woman thing?
Jeez.
So men could have dead fish hands and women couldn't. Seems unfair.
So, does the dead fish hand have to do with the smell or with the? I mean, I don't understand the term dead fish. Dead fish implies there's a smell.
Cold, clammy, and wet.
Live fish can be cold, clammy, and wet.
True, but a dead one
Live
could be
fish
especially
smell
cold.
too, Eric.
If it's a
Not as bad as
tropical
a
fish,
dead fish.
A tropical fish could be warm. A Greenland
Oh,
shark
goodness.
is going to be really cold. So, like,
But
I think
neither may be dead.
I think it's also a way of saying, you know how Lamar in his javelin style was limp wristed. I think you can, I think you could fairly say that Lamar in Revenge of the Nerds had a dead fish style of javelin throwing. It had nothing to do with the way it smelled. It was all about the limp wristed effort he gave. We all know Booker would not have thrown the javelin the same way that Lamar did.
Well, no.
We're sorry for anybody out there too young to get the Revenge of the Nerds references,
Yeah.
but
So I got some comments.
all right.
Let's see. Mama Liming thinks that the don't take another bite while you're still chewing is the premise behind the
I
one
agree.
fork full at a time. And Gary says same thing. Don't open your mouth with food in it to put in more food. I say load it all up as Todd described. Run it through the mills.
Yeah, however much you can fit on your fork is fine, but once you get it in the gullet, don't open the gullet to add more in until you're done.
Disposing of what's in the gullet.
Yeah.
Says Samantha never heard the term hot shot either. She says in Illinois it was called poo on a shingle, but I'm assuming that the word would be alliteratively speaking, starting with an S on a shingle.
Samantha, we can educate you on the shit on a shingle. TV 14.
He'll just say it.
that. Shit on a shingle is chip beef gravy on toast. That's what shit on a shingle is.
Ugh.
Now, which I love, by the way.
Chip beef gravy. Oh,
Like,
just
you stub your toe. Chip beef gravy.
Now, our friend Doug, and I call him out because if he were on this show, he would still make this argument. He stands behind this that is not shit on a shingle because shit's not white. But
unless it comes from a dog and it's sat in the yard during the summer.
or birds, which
Strangers in a high school at a tournament game.
Somebody comes straight from the mill white with a bird. I mean, like it comes right out of the factory. White. But if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not as much of a historian as Eric and Brady, but I think the whole premise of it wasn't that it actually resembled feces. It was that it was eaten so much, it was like kind of like same shit, different day type thing. It was like, so yeah, so it's two different things there. Chip beef gravy.
I think it was more equating the bread it was on to it like being hard, stale, and crumbly like a shingle. I think it's more about that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm saying like, what do you have today? That same old shit,
Yeah, I'm throwing any shit I have on this shingle here, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Both delicious, by the way. Hot shots, shit on a shingle. I recommend one for breakfast, one for dinner.
What? For breakfast?
Chip beef gravy is a breakfast staple.
I've never even had chip beef gravy.
Really?
Yeah.
The term chip beef gravy makes my stomach turn.
What exactly is a chipped beef?
It's like shaved, real thin shaved, almost like deli meat.
Okay.
And it's chopped up and then it's put into gravy. No different than like sausage gravy, like Bob Evans.
Okay.
Sausage.
Instead of porcine, it's bovine.
Right.
So Justin makes a good point. The shaking hands at elbow level meant that you should not shake someone's hand while you're sitting down. They're standing up and you're sitting down.
Makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Chris says Dudley Booger Dawson would definitely prefer a loose meat sandwich over any dead fish hands.
That's right. Booger Presley would not handle any dead fish hands.
Might handle something else with his hands, but not dead fish.
I don't
know. I don't know. Yeah. Jim says shit on a shingle. I'd rather have a proctologist exam.
Yeah.
Me as well.
You have Cologuard. They could be similar.
I don't know Jim personally, but I would have bet money that he was a chip beef gravy type of guy.
Oh.
I'm disappointed.
You can't make generalizations about people.
You can't.
So Justin says SOS originated in France and became popular because of soldiers in World War I and World War II.
Yeah.
Justin's got all that military history down.
Right. I mean, between Chris and Justin, we have so many very, very, very well-rounded, Gary, everybody, actually all of you, everybody who chimes in, so much more
well-rounded show.
All of us, yeah.
Yeah, if it were just us blathering on without the earbuds chiming in, it would be awful.
Right.
So, thank you.
Oh, real quick, also, you mentioned earlier, Eric, but now that I'm a little more awake and my voice is not giving out on me, and 175 episodes. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah. I mean, who would have known back in 2000?
Right. And it's funny because I remember when the first day we sat down mid-COVID, we had no idea what was ahead of us as far as the COVID thing. I think we had just gotten our first, as educators, we had just gotten our first 3-week
out of school
thing. Like we were going to see what happened in 3 weeks. And I remember Eric, I think in particular, saying, one of us asked something along the lines of, well, who do you think will listen to this? And Eric said, it doesn't matter if one person listens to it.
We're entertaining ourselves.
I have no doubt that there are probably people out there who are saying, hey, these 3 jokers here, they got like 8 to 10 people every time when they're talking. Why do they keep doing this? Because 8 to 10 people to us is fantastic because of this, like, the conversations and the input that those 8 to 10 people have each time. So
it's 13 now.
13. We would do, I gotta be honest, 13, as much as we appreciate it, love you guys, we would do this if there were nobody in the
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you guys are just
but we're over 30,000 listens, aren't we? Well over it.
Yeah.
I don't, and then that would be, I mean, if you just take the audio part, I mean, I think it's, let me look it up. I did 26,000 maybe.
It's Reagan, everybody.
Hello, Reagan.
Hello, Reagan. Are we Reagan?
Can't say children. She's an adult.
She's an adult.
Acknowledged.
Yes. I didn't think she didn't know I was in the laundry room.
1960s.
She looked a little embarrassed.
Don't cough into your right hand.
Because you shake with it. And eat with it.
But you wipe with your left. Why do you want to cough with it?
Well, your right hand was your social hand, while your left hand was your personal hand.
Soiled hand.
Your
Strange.
personal hand. 26,087 audio listens.
Wow.
So there's that. But then there's
So-
the video and
So the 60s, moving on to the next one, don't hold drinks in your right hand. They were really infatuated with the hand thing in the 60s. It was considered rude and impolite to hold your drink or handbag with your right hand, as your social hand is meant for mingling with fellow party guests. So what if you're handing a guest a drink? Do you use your social hand or your personal hand?
well, I would guess your personal hand would be holding your drink. So I guess you would serve the drink to someone else with your social hand.
Now,
Correct.
I would think so. Now, if say I don't know if Say is still listening or not, so I better be honest here. But 35, I have a different argument for 35, and I'm only half joking, ladies, so don't hate me. Men should enter dark rooms first. I disagree. You send her first, and then if she gets attacked, you can then fight them off, and if you get in there and get attacked, it's up to them to fight them off, and they don't want to have to deal with that. So therefore, you should send them first. Is there? That's always been my argument. If I hear a strange noise in the basement, if I think it's an assassin in the basement, I send Celia, because first off, they're more likely to not attack Celia. If I go down, they're just going to take me out. But if Celia goes down, I can listen. I can find out where they are precisely, and then I can go expose the threat and save her.
Even though she may be impaled on the floor of the basement by the time you get there to save her.
Well, timing is definitely important, but like in my house, Celia would admit I am a better shot. I'm better with a gun than she is. So let's say I hear her being attacked. I get the gun. I go down. I save the day. Intruder's done. Celia's safe. I go down first, and I'm getting attacked.
This is truly a lily-livered response. So when you say you're listening, are you standing at the top of the stairs and listening while she descends all the way down, or are you 2 steps behind her?
Are you like Shaggy on Scooby-Doo that's quivering the whole time? Or
It's the same idea with the side of the bed. I want her to sleep near the door. If somebody comes in to attack us, I can then be while they're busy trying to attack her, I can then jump on them and take them out.
See, now here's the thing. My wife, if we're in a hotel room or in our house, I sleep by the door. She will not sleep by the door.
Well, I think that's pretty common. But
Yeah.
I think I have a good argument for the other way. Okay, well, I guess it depends on who is more likely to be able to take out the threat. I'm not asking. I mean, that's rhetorical.
it's rhetorical.
Like I'm just
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Let's
if she follows you down and you are taking on the almost entirety of the threat, then she can add on the little piece that's needed to take the threat out.
But I don't trust her to take the threat out. And I think she's here now. She's not listening anymore because she's just walking in. I think she would agree that she would rather me take out the threat than her.
Well,
So
now that's 2 questions though. You're saying you're sending her down the basement first. She is encountering the full strength threat
Right.
while you stand up at the top of the steps and listen,
Right.
as you did,
Hey,
and then you're
See, I-
going to descend down into the depths while she's getting attacked by said threat.
hey, Celia. If I hear a strange noise in the basement and I think we're being attacked, what is my response typically? Do I go down first, or do I say, hey, Celia, you go down, you distract and put up a good fight, and then I'll be down to save you and take the threat out?
I'd say more of it's number 2.
Number 2, right? But it makes sense, doesn't it?
Okay, Celia, get on camera.
Say, come
Yeah.
on, Cameron.
Yeah.
Blink twice if you're in danger.
But let's be honest. Who is more likely to take out the threat, me or you? I'm not saying either one of us are like badasses or anything, but I'm just saying like who is better with a gun, who is more trained with a gun.
it's you.
Right. So if I go down first and I get jumped, the whole house is screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Right.
But who's more likely, just like I did the other day, to go through the house with like a big butcher knife or, you know, a weapon and like search for people and scream like a crazy
I wasn't
person?
home though, but
That's me.
right. Yeah.
I've done that many times.
Now, but here's the thing. Now, I'm only half joking, but that same scenario is played out the same way if I see a spider. So it's, I'm not sure
True.
how much you want to hang your hat on my technique, but I do
True.
think I have an argument there. Now, that doesn't mean it's not a man-woman thing. That is a who is more comfortable with defending and protecting the homestead. Could very well be the woman.
So Samantha's question is like she did the other day.
Well, so this is going to be embarrassing for you, honey. We got a new refrigerator, and so the new refrigerator has 2 ice makers in it. It has the regular ice dispenser, and it also has an ice maker that goes into an ice bucket in the freezer. And it was new to us, and she kept hearing. I was gone, and she kept hearing this big crashing sound, and she thought somebody was in the basement. So she got a butcher knife and did the whole threatening, yelling out, and trying to sound crazy to scare them off. And turns out it was the ice. So it was the ice going into the ice. So yeah.
Jim has a valid question as well. Wouldn't you want your wife/kids to be able to run away if needed?
Oh.
Well, again, I didn't say my plan was flawless, Jim. I have to put some thought into that. Yes. Well, I want the kids to run away while mom and dad are fighting off the intruder for sure. Although Ethan's old enough now, maybe I should send him first. He's home from college. He can probably fight.
Now that would be a valid response.
Yeah.
If PJ were here, PJ, you're going. You're younger. Take it on.
Yeah.
So Justin's response is to throw a grenade. Spoken like a true military man.
Yeah. I don't have any grenades, Justin. If you want to send me one, I'll hook up with you.
So he also says, I have 4 guns between myself and the door. So
Yeah.
again, spoken like a true military man.
I have a few in here as well. But the funny thing is, see, Justin, that way, if C is down there fighting off the intruder, I can just be ready at the top of the stairs with a grenade. And as soon as she tells me throw it, I can throw it down. And
So then you can frag your wife as well as the intruder. That's good.
I just got to do the cool, pull with my teeth thing you see in the movies. I got to do that.
Which they say would absolutely rip the teeth out of your head if you tried to do that.
I'm sure it would. Yeah. Are there more comments before we're at 2:15?
Yeah, we're at 2:15. So historically speaking, Chris, you're correct. He says, I was a guest on a podcast of a former student, which is true. And I said to myself, hey, we can do this. We've been talking about that,
right?
Doing this prior to that, but that is what made me think, hey, we can do that. We just need to get on it.
It's what gave Eric, I think, the
gumption,
the shove, technically that we could pull this off. Eric can pull off the technical aspect of this. But I will say, I don't mean this as a pat on our own backs or a brag, but we've been talking about this kind of thing long before there were even such things as podcasts. It's kind of like one of those deals where you talk about it for years and somebody else does it and gets rich, and then you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like 4th or 5th in line, and you get no money out of it.
We talked about when I was in high school.
When The Real World and Jersey Shore came out, it's like we're way funnier than this crap.
Before that, when I was in high school, we talked about doing spinoffs of like Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
Which if you're not aware of what that show is, it's they watch movies and kind of do their own commentary throughout the movie, and we actually talked about doing that a couple of times.
Which we did to an episode of Three's a Crowd, if you missed
right.
that.
We're talking, 19 and 95, 96, around there. We're just a little late. We're late bloomers.
True. late to the money. That's what
Right.
we are.
Day late, dollar short.
Exactly. All right. Yeah, we're at 2:15. So
I,
I think it's
I have no idea how long this list is. This is one negative to the way we do things organically. We don't look ahead and see like, okay, I'm going to skim down. Okay, we were close. There's only 40, and we were on. I mean, to be honest with you, might as well take a few minutes and finish it up because there's no sense in patent. So I'll look and see if there's any good ones left. We just did mention Enter a Dark Room first, which was 35. 36, always have a toast prepared. Now,
always have a
You're
what?
a toast prepared, not some
A toast. Oh, I was going to say that.
Always have some shit on a shingle prepared. No, so this is something, Eric, you're a principal. You have to give your fair share of talks in front of like groups of people.
Yes.
Anybody who knows me would probably, anybody who doesn't know me would probably be surprised that I'm actually very shy. I hate public speaking. I hate talking in front of people. I can play in front of thousands of people a show, and I don't ever feel any like. But if I had to talk even in front of my school, like my building, I would crap down my leg.
I remember you asking us to like call in your order at the Dairy
Oh,
Yum Yum.
Yeah,
'cause
I
you
mean,
didn't
I've
like cracking
grown
the-
out of that, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was very shy. I've always said like people laugh when they say I'm shy until you get to know me, and then I'll talk your ear off. That's kind of how I am.
But you're essentially the MC of your shows when you play.
I do, and that's what I mean. Like if you put, I mean, like obviously we play some shows in front of 9 people, but we also played Big West pregame in front of 25,000 people. So it doesn't matter to me. Kind of like playing basketball. If you're shy or something, you don't think when you're out in the court, my gosh, people are looking at me, like that kind of thing. But I've thought about this. I've thought about my kids getting married. And you know how the dad always gets a toast.
Right.
And I literally get a little bit like palms sweaty, like freaking out a little bit about it. That's how much public speaking freaks me out. So the idea of always having a toast prepared kind of scares me a little bit. What about you guys?
That's fair. My public speaking does not ever really include toasting, although I did toast at Brady's wedding, I think, right? I gave you a toast. I can't remember really what I said. I think I was kind of playing it by ear, so to speak. But,
I believe you made a nice Philadelphia joke, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that
yeah. So I actually do my best work just kind of, again, playing it by ear. That's kind of where the premise of this show came from. Anything prepared is like, it sounds stale. So I just, you can make some bullet points and kind of go off that, but to just make sure you kind of stay on track. But, you know,
Yeah.
I would rather just be spontaneous or sound spontaneous.
Well, I think another thing it helps with you and Brady. Yeah, you and Brady are both very well spoken, and I remember, you know, my pathway was a little different than you guys. My pathway was I didn't go back to school until I was to college until I was in my 30s, and not that a college degree makes you any better of a speaker. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I had 10 years of a dialogue with people who my normal conversations weren't with people who really gave a crap about whether you knew the difference between doesn't and don't. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like it took me a long time. It took me a long time to it's funny because like when I student taught my coordinating or the teacher that I worked with, we had only communicated via email. And I was always a very good writer and very good, you know, so I always sounded much smarter when I emailed and when I wrote things. So then when we worked together, like 5-6 weeks go by, and it's like when they heard me talk and heard how bad I screwed things up, you know, we kind of had a little chuckle about how like, wow, I thought, you know, when you emailed me, I was a little bit intimidated because you were so properly, you know, so well spoken in your emails. And it's like, nah, not at all. So it really is a hardship for me to try to speak correctly.
And then she
And I
found
do
the real you when you started talking to her, right?
Well, I've made great strides. I still mess up quite a bit. But my point is like when you're thinking about that when you're talking, to the public. I think that's part of it too. If you're not confident in your abilities, but I don't know. Like always having a toast would, I think, insinuate that you are always comfortable speaking in public, because otherwise, I mean, I don't think it means like have a piece of paper in your pocket with a toast written on. I think it means like always be prepared to do that.
Yeah.
But I've never had to give a toast.
Right. You've never been a best man?
No, never been a best man. I've been in multiple weddings, but I've never been a best man. And every wedding I go to where the best man or the dad has to give like a speech, I'm like, thank God that's not me.
It will eventually be you.
All right, so there's only a couple here left that are very meaningful. There's one here about cell phones should be answered with discretion. You can throw that out the window now. People have full-blown loud conversations with their cell phones now. Don't forget to add an email sign-off. This is getting in the 1980s. Make sure you send appropriate flowers for the occasion. You gentlemen ever send flowers?
Probably not as much as I should.
Yeah. And that's it, guys. It ends in the 80s. So apparently all etiquette
Stopped in the 80s.
Stopped, of course.
Pretty sure I predicted that at the beginning of the show here, that it ended circa 1980s.
All right. That's a good list.
Great
Thanks.
list.
Thanks to the earbuds for chiming in.
Definitely.
Very, very pertinent information from a lot of you. All right. Yes. If you want to listen to us on audio, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app, and most anywhere else you might find those audio podcasts, video-wise. Spotify, YouTube, and Twitch.
Twitch.
Social medias, Facebook, X, and Instagrams. Look us up on any of those. Interact with us via email at playitbyyourpodcast.com. You can leave a voice message by clicking the link at your audio podcast provider.
Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you. Terms and conditions apply. Anything else, gentlemen?
I don't believe so.
All good on my end.
No. Is it?
Is it tapered?
All right. Double tapered.
Double tapered.
All right. We'll see you next Tuesday.
So we have to decide also, are we doing well, we can talk about it, but we need to let everybody know if we're doing an episode, because next Tuesday and then the week after that's election night.
Oh.
So we have to we'll have to figure it out. We'll put out an announcement. One part of me thinks it would be fun to do because people might enjoy getting a break from watching the results come in.
True.
And we can keep it non-political, which we can
Absolutely.
Read our presidential fun factoids.
Yeah, Brady and I are both reading a book right now about. Eric and Brady are both very knowledgeable when it comes to the history of our
Teaser,
country.
we found out about James K. Polk's perineum. So
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't
No.
read about James, but I did read today about John Quincy Adams and his preference for skinny dipping in the Potomac River up until he was like 80 years old. He died at 80, so at 78 years old, just flat out franks and beans right there in the Potomac River in front of the public. People would join him. Could you imagine joining your president with some balls out swimming in the river? Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
It
No.
would be odd.
Wouldn't imagine doing that anywhere by myself, let alone with anybody else. All right. Savannah has a Pete update. Completely weaned now, loves chicken. Little Pete.
Pretty much just like me.
Yeah, there you go.
I am completely weaned and I love
Justin, it was great having you.
Yeah, Justin.
And
Again,
yes.
thanks for your
Justin.
service, brother. And it's great to
Yes.
hear from you again, man. It's been I think it's been since I want to say 8th grade year or so. Since I think the last time I probably saw Justin, I don't remember much in high school. I'm not sure when he moved.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're friends with Justin on Facebook or not, but if I'm not Justin, I'll send you a friend request.
Yeah, I don't know how many you've watched or listened to, but look at the back catalog, and thanks for joining us. Hope to see you back. All right, gentlemen, with that, Todd, take us out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Play It By Ear podcast. Thanks for listening to the Play It By Ear podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter at Play It By Ear Pod 2, and our website at anchor.fm/Play It By Ear podcast. Thanks again, and join us next time as we play it by ear.